Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Ted. With me are most of my esteemed colleagues.
We're not that esteemed. I'm Ryan. Dave.
And, Dave, you brought up a good idea about, how to find a gaming group.
I did, and there's a reason for that. We've been doing this since our first video we launched January
29th.
31st of this year.
Oh, was it?
Don't correct him on video again.
Yeah. Stop hitting me.
I know it was the end of January.
Nerd abuse. It was the end of January, and time again since then, people have asked or mentioned, I can't find a group. I don't have anybody to play with. And, it's funny because, we've gone through various stages of this. Mm-hmm. And our group has gone from having 14 people to 3 people to now we have run multiple sessions with all different people at 6-7 people at the table at a time.
So that means we have access to 20 people.
It feels like 50 or something. Yeah. And it's kind of funny how this came about and happened. But before we even get into that, let's start with Ryan. You've actually, more so out of me and Ted, have found new groups over and over again.
Well, I mean,
because you're kind of like a vagabond, nomad, drifter.
Well, I mean, so I guess in Philly, because it was kind of a pain in the ass to commute over the bridge, and basically bus it or whatever, planes, trains, and automobiles over to Ted's house at that point in time, or to your house. So it was just kind of I found people, friends of friends. One of them was at a comic book shop. There was a comic book club or whatever. So basically, you find geeky sort of stuff that people get together and socialize at, and then you get to talking about gaming. And I found a bunch of people that were PhD students or whatever that also play D&D. So that was cool. And then when I moved to New Mexico, I basically just went to a gaming shop that had organized play, Pathfinder Society, and from there, I found people that were looking to split off and form their own regular group. Because I mean, organized play for me, it's all well and good, but I feel like it's more of a patch. It's a nicotine patch, and that's
when you really just need a cigarette.
The group is a nice, refreshing pack of cigarettes. Yeah. So with that mentholatum flavor.
Well, going along with what you just said. Now, essentially, we started Nerdarchy, and then all of a sudden we had all these people to game with. So what does that mean? People need to start a YouTube channel and talk about gaming and then know how to game?
Absolutely not. You just need to talk to people. It's kind of ridiculous. I can't really reach back through the chronicles of time and say, oh, this is how I got into gaming. I knew people, and hey, you game. What is that? And I got started. That's as loose as I can recall.
Right. Well, here's part of the problem. In with this hobby, there's a lot of people that are kind of introverted, and some people are just socially awkward. So it's really tough, and it is a matter of coming out of their shell. But what happened for us was, so what did we do? We went online and we started connecting with other people, gaming, right? And oddly enough, in a play-by-post game we were involved with people from Florida, they happened to move to within 45 minutes of us.
Yeah, that was pretty random.
And we're like, well, you're not that far from us. Do you want to come hang out?
Right.
Yeah. Basically, if you go to forums, groups on Facebook or whatever, where people discuss gaming, you might find people that are kind of in your area. Because, a half hour, 45 minutes.
Well, and it just goes back to going to where people are. So, we picked up another player because me and Ted went and checked out a local yo-yo club that was at a board game store.
And you got to talking, and it's hey, this guy's an avid gamer. Do you want to game with us?
Yeah, he noticed I was wearing a Cthulhu shirt. I might have been even this shirt. I don't know.
Wearing geeky garb is speaking code for finding other nerds.
But you still have to go to where they're at.
Yeah, no, you do.
Yeah, if you just sit in your house at your computer or hiding in your basement or in your bedroom or whatever, you're not going to, those people won't find you. I promise.
Well, I mean, to an extent, you can find people online, You know, there are communities and there are groups out there
And websites that
and,
cater.
and
yeah.
websites that cater towards helping people out. You know, I know, like, off the top of my head, I know there's a website called Meetup, and you can post there, hey, I'm looking for, you know, whatever.
Well, you can search for the common activities or interests, like, yeah, in your area. I mean,
Didn't you start a group that way?
on Meetup, I didn't, but
Or did you
found
join one?
I found like resources and stuff like that.
Well,
yeah.
Stefan came from you, and that dude Dave, the librarian.
Yeah, I don't even know how that group
I
formed.
I
Yeah.
think you found them online somehow.
Yeah, I don't.
You know, so
I don't even remember.
So, you know, online does have its possibilities, but you have a much better chance if you go to where people physically are, so that you can, you know, talk to them face to face. You know, you can, you know, kind of feel them out as to whether they're, you know, going to actually mesh personality wise.
Well, you know, it comes down to this to me, and it's really important, and it really cuts across the board just in life in general. It's all about networking and knowing people. And in order to do that, you have to put yourself out there. You have to go to the people, surround yourself with the people that you want to engage in activities with. So, for instance, right, we start doing this nerdy talk show on YouTube, right? Well, it turns out a friend of ours from freaking 15 years ago is doing the same thing, stumbles across our page, and we get to talking, and he's like, oh, wait a minute. You know, I used to game in your basement, and I went to college with Ted.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, this guy we haven't talked to in over 10 years is now back in the group gaming with us. You know, we go to a live event, a convention, a local con, and we just hang out with people and talk with people. Boom, you know, Anthony and Nicole are in our gaming group as well, and we're playing games with them. So it's just getting out there.
You found the play-by post on Facebook where, you know, we met Ivy and Ken, and, you know, boom, we invite them into, you know,
because
a
they happen
gaming
to
group.
move within 40
Because they
minutes of
happen
us,
to
yeah.
move close.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've got all these different, you know, connections that we've made in fairly short order, and we have to have 3 different games running with 3 different groups just to support the amount of people we.
And that's when going from a group that was like on life support, yeah, pretty much. And all we did, and what it comes down to, all we did is put ourselves out there and go, you know, this is who we are and this is what we do. And what happens is like attracts like. So people go, oh, you're a gamer too, me too. You know, and you're going to either find a group, start a group.
Yeah. Well, so I feel like the more difficulty, there's a couple of tangents. One is people that, like, in their peer group, they don't know anybody that does RPGs. So I think that is a little bit of an inertia. And then 2, we're on the East Coast. Like, I feel like the coasts are pretty densely populated or wherever you're in a major city. But if you're somewhere where it's a little more rural, like, even comparatively, like, for meetup groups and stuff like that, even in New Mexico, which Albuquerque's kind of populous, but compared to, like, you know, like Philly or New York, not nearly as much. It's, like, half as populated. So, but if somebody's living out in, like, Arkansas or something like that, like a rural
Oh, it's
area,
easy. They just got to move.
yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah. So it's going to be a lot harder because, you know, like, meetup groups are going to be a lot sparser, and, you know, maybe they're less utilized. So I mean, kind of coming up with solutions for those 2 groups of people.
Well, I mean, you're you know, if you are in those less populated, you know, or less densely populated areas, and it's a little bit further away to the gaming shop, find out what gaming shop is closest to you, call them and say, hey, do you run a game out of your shop? If the answer is yes, find out how to get involved. If the answer is no, say you know, hey, can I start a group?
Be the change.
yeah.
Be the change. If that's not your personality type, fine. Just, you know, you're still on the phone. Just say, hey, is there you know, a group that buys from you that might be looking for a new player?
Or sometimes a lot of times
You can
they'll
leave
have
a flyer or something.
Yeah, they'll have bulletin boards and stuff where you can leave your information or
So
whatever.
without having to make that long drive, all you did was make a phone call. You can get information and you can start putting yourself out there. You know, this is a hobby that as you said, people might be a little bit more introverted. If you just step out of that zone and take the initiative, you're going to find it's not as hard as you think.
Well, here's the other thing too. Like maybe you're interested in gaming, you've never gamed before, you don't know anybody, and all of those things are kind of maybe a little bit intimidating. Well, guess what? On Facebook, there's a group called the One Shot Group.
That's what my next point was going to be.
And you can go in there, and there is games in multiple systems, multiple editions. They're going on all the time, and you can just pop in there and sign up for one of the events. And if you don't know how to play and you've never played before, those people don't care. Most of them will bring you in and take you under their wing and get you started.
Yeah. I feel like who probably would have the highest barrier as far as like new people are like younger players, because, if you're like 13 to 15 or whatever, like maybe the 30, 40 something year old gamers aren't going to want you at their table. So I feel like if it's like you and your group of other teenage friends, I feel like you just have to like get the books and just like, even if you're playing wrong, just kind of figure it out, play, learn the pitfalls, maybe even watch, like on YouTube you can watch other people play and you can see
hey, I heard you can watch this YouTube channel called Nerdarchy. They have live plays.
Yeah, sometimes we do some things with some funny shaped dice too.
But exactly what you said, that's how Ted started.
Yeah.
And man, did they play wrong.
Yeah.
Now, I was, you were kind of fortunate because I was your older brother.
Oh, so fortunate.
Yeah, you're blessed.
Yeah.
You should probably just drop down and pray to God right now and thank him. But
Cthulhu, I'd rather pray to Cthulhu actually.
But, I was very fortunate because we had an older kid in our neighborhood, Steve, who was like 5 years older than us, that, started gaming with us. And he was like 19 and we were all like 14 or whatever. And, so he was already experienced. He'd already been gaming.
And that probably spawned out of the fact that he was looking for a group of people, and it's like, I can't find other people to game with.
Here's these minions.
Yeah, exactly. Here, put on these yellow suits and these big goggles.
Yeah. I started in high school, much later than when you started. And, like, I got involved with a bunch of people who were, power gamers that... had, I guess, a little more overbearing personalities, and I didn't know enough, to really DM and be able to follow the rules. I just put stuff out there and, whatever. And when, they DM'd, it wasn't anything different than what I was doing. So it wasn't until you were like, yeah, you need to try this out. And this other friend says, let's try it this way. And I really got, really immersed into what it was all about and how things actually properly need to go.
Well, I don't actually believe that anyway. It's whatever you enjoy doing, whatever's fun for your group is fine. It doesn't matter. If you're gaming and enjoying it, you're doing it right.
Yeah, like, because I had a friend from college that him and his friends, they never really played campaigns. It was just like a pickup game of hack and slash, like they just made ridiculous characters. They just threw out random monsters, and like, like the whole idea of a campaign and like story kind of was out the window. It was just rolling dice, hitting, and just like having a badass character.
As Mark would say, killing shit.
Killing shit.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how we all start anyway.
Yeah.
That's like the...
Well, I mean, but the thing is,
precursor.
We went into a place to get more invested in like campaigns and like plot lines and story, whereas like he's never they'd never really gotten more serious about it other than it's a pickup thing that they do every so many months. It's either they do that or have like a LAN party or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I don't know. I think that pretty much covers like all the things and like. Us sharing our experiences with how we grow our group inadvertently, and really it just comes down to a couple key things. One, putting yourself out there as a gamer and being all right with it. Two, going to where gamers hang out, and three, it might be a little bit of work. You might have to go out and seek them.
But if you find one person, chances are that person knows somebody, and that chain is going to lead you to enough people to make a group. It's not all that hard. We've run games where there's a DM and 2 or 3 people. And
you only need 2 people to play this game.
You need a GM and at least 2 players. Like, better.
It is a better game, but
solo
you
adventure
could play.
is so weird. It just, I don't know. But another thing that you could do is if you're say you're still in like middle school or high school, I bet at least one of your teachers in school like play D&D in college. Or
You're
whatever.
really fixated on this middle school. And
Well,
high
I mean,
school. You're creeping me out.
I mean, because for the hobby to continue and to grow, you need younger players. But I bet you probably have a teacher at that school that used to play, wouldn't like maybe would be interested in running like an after school program.
I think what is it? WASD 20.
Is that
Nate, he's a school teacher,
yeah?
and he runs games, and he's actually talking about doing a curriculum, like they do like a winter curriculum for kids to take like these like condensed classes, and he's done video games. Well, the next one he's working on doing is an RPG.
Yeah,
Wow,
that'd be pretty
nice.
neat. So I mean, that would be pretty sweet. Also, too, like I can't remember any of them off the top of my head, but I know there's like specifically websites for finding role playing game groups. That like even ones that like in your region they put like plot points on the map where other players are. They're looking for games. I can't remember any of the names of these sites off the top of my head, but I can do a little research and we could put it in the show notes on this one. So this way it'd be another resource for people.
Yeah, we'll put a link to that. We'll put a link to the one shot group. So there's
Give some people
places
some
there.
options for sure.
And then the next thing is just go to your local gaming shops. If there's a con in your area, no matter how big or small, check it out.
Get talking to people. Look for people with like gaming related T-shirts.
Well,
like,
if it's a con and you
Yeah.
go to a gaming convention, then you can pretty much assume everyone there is a gamer.
You're right. Yeah.
And just ask around. It's like, look, hey, I'm looking for a group. I'm looking to try out this thing called role playing, and you'd be surprised how much people are willing to say, sure, let me help you out. Let me join our group, join our game. It's
And rarely have I seen it where groups are so big they can't take on more players.
Yeah, well, when you're getting like 8, 9, and upwards, man, that gets rough.
like Dave says, we've had games where there's 14 players.
Yeah,
But my
So much.
point is, like, that's not I don't think that's that common.
yeah,
No, it's
I
not.
think usually it's 4 to 6 people, so usually you can squeeze one more in.
yeah.
And hopefully you would think other gamers want to see the hobby continue and want to spread it to other people.
You would think.
You would think sometimes
think.
gamers can be dicks.
some
but-
of them lend further credence to the term troll. Just the minority, like the 1 or 2% probably, but you can be vocal.
So with that, I think we've got it covered.
check below in the description for the resources in order to find a gaming group.
You can find us on nerdarchy.com, even Facebook.
Before you do that, like, subscribe, comment, share.
For the comments, maybe put some of the resources of the fine groups and games.
If there's any tips that we didn't give that of, I'm certain
free.
the community would love to hear it.
Yep. So with that, until next time, my friends.
Stay nerdy.